What's up, boss? You believe that? Hold on. Do you believe that? Please. Let's go. Doubt y'all and they ain't gonna be personal. You think they say y'all and they ain't gonna get personal.
All right. What is going on, Buff Nation? Hold up. It's my mic. Hopefully that sounds a little bit better. Hey, good to see everybody. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. And I mean, again, we got news to talk about every single day. Isn't this wonderful? Before I get into the news about Taurean Carter coming over here from Arkansas, please be sure to hit that like. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. And hey, shout out to Jaquez Robinson. He is going to be transferring out. He was a transfer we had come in here to play DB from Alabama. And man, wishing you all the best. Go somewhere where you can play. You can only play football for a finite amount of time, and I really want Jaquez to get some playing time somewhere. So best of luck to him. And hey, I had all these Ducks fans' tweets bookmarked, man. I was ready to give them all that crap that they were giving us during the season, man. I was ready for it. But I mean, stepping stone you. Every few years, every good coach that they have seems to always leave for another opportunity. And, for the few Ducks fans, Ryan, for instance, man, congrats. You got a coach that's sticking with y'all. I'm shocked by it, man. I'm shocked. I thought he was a perfect fit for Alabama. So I was wrong there. It is what it is. But congratulations to the few nice Duck fans that have been nice to Buffs fans this year, that y'all are getting midnight mailed. All right. With that being said, one thing we've talked about, guys, is, hey, there's going to be guys in which we're able to snag guys late in the game in this recruiting transfer portal era, and sometimes we're going to get bit by it. You live by the portal, you die by the portal. We just saw DJ Lundy go back to FSU like a day after he was seen wearing Buffs gear. It's just what happens. Now, this is an instance in which we're benefiting from the same thing. So we have Taurean Carter, interior defensive lineman, defensive tackle, nose tackle, whatever you want to call him, coming over from Arkansas. He recently had committed to SMU. Let me get his measurements here really quick before I screw this whole thing up. 6'3", 303 pounds, 305 pounds. I've seen that in a few different areas or publications, but this is a guy who's bringing great size. We've been a little undersized in the defensive line group, as you probably noticed watching this team. And this is a guy that I think can come in and give a lot of depth, another rotational piece for this defensive line. Couldn't find any big highlights of him. Check out Sam T. I think he posted one highlight of him against FIU. But this is a guy that was coming off of a torn ACL this past year, okay? That's the first thing y'all need to know, okay? Because the Pro Football Focus grades for this past year, it is what it is. They weren't looking too great, okay? But he was coming off an ACL. Now we're going to be getting him a couple years removed from that injury. So at the end of the day, he's a guy that was recruited out of high school to play for an SEC team. He was somebody who did, from his redshirt freshman year on, play a substantial amount of rotational snaps for the Arkansas Razorbacks. So that's great. And he has shown really good production in spurts, especially during his 2021 year. That was the last year that he played before he tore his ACL in spring ball, a few months afterwards. So last year was kind of that first year back from him, or for him. And hopefully he can take another step in the right direction, get back to form with where he was in that 2021 season. So I'm going to get to sharing my screen. We'll walk through some of the Pro Football Focus, some of his other career accomplishments right now in college, and then I'll get to your comments. So please be sure to hit that like. And if you want to ensure that I read your comment or whatever, send me a $2 super chat or something like that, but I'll try and get through them here. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. I wanted to throw this in here really quick. This is kind of a comparison of where we are at with our defensive line talent. This is grades from this past year. You can see that Jamery Caldwell was the best guy in these out of these three teams. I would love it if he came here to see you, but I feel like that ship has probably sailed. You would have seen him commit by now. That's just my guess. But Chidozie Nwankwo, by far, our most talented lineman that we have right now. After that, Omari McNeil, Shane Cokes, Leonard Payne, and where's Taurean Carter? Right above Chaz Wallace right here, okay? But let's go ahead and dive into some of the specifics about him, okay? This is from his 2021 year, his weekly defensive grades. You can see that he graded out really well against some top-end teams. I mean, grades within the 70s against Texas, Georgia, Mississippi State, LSU, okay? Penn State. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of his statistics from 2021. So played 244 total snaps in 2021. Graded out defensive rating there at 67.1. Okay. Again, for what it's worth, our highest graded lineman that we had this past year in the interior was Omari McNeil, graded out at 65.5. So at the end of the day, we're getting somebody who at least has is bringing that level of talent, maybe a little bit more to the table. Okay. And 9 total pressures, 12 total tackles. Again, you're not going to see nose tackles or interior defensive linemen ever putting up major stats, because their main job is to clog up holes, allow other linemen, linebackers, those edge guys to go and make those tackles, safeties coming up in the box to go and make the tackle. These guys are like point guards. It's all about setting their guys up with the assist, having those assists. But by far, lined up 100% of his snaps here on the defensive line. By far will play in the A gap. So I can't do math right now, but maybe like 80% of his snaps are there in the A gap. If you guys aren't familiar, because I always need to remind myself what all this gap stuff is. So let me go ahead and share this with y'all. So this kind of shows you the A gap. So that means he's going to be lining up either directly over the center or directly to the side, but mainly being responsible for clogging up these gaps between the guards and the centers. Up here, you see kind of the different labeled techniques. This is just where they line up, whether it's directly over somebody or to their shoulder, so to speak. So I'm not really sure on the specifics of if he's more of a one technique or a two technique on the interior. We'll just have to see. But, he's a guy that's going to be playing in there in that A gap along with Chidozie Nwankwo, who I think like by far right now is like our centerpiece for the defensive line. So we'll see whoever is defensive coordinator, how they use these guys. But I think my expectation right now is Chidozie is going to be our main guy. Who's going to line up next to him? It all depends, I guess, on what scheme we're playing. I think Shane Cokes is better utilized more towards the edge. But if we're going to play two bigger guys, hey, we got Anquan Barnes there. Now we have Taurean Carter. We're at least building some layers. Still got Amari McNeil. So, I really like that. And we're bringing in bodies, guys who have shown it. Will he take that next step now after his ACL? And honestly, probably playing lesser competition down in the Big 12 compared to the SEC, which is like the holy grail of college football talent. We all know that. Now, I guess let me go back and we can check out what he did in 2023. So total 13 tackles, 4 assists, 6 total pressures. He had a couple sacks, a few quarterback hurries, all of that. Very nice. And again, this is kind of interesting. Wow. They used him more in the B gap this past year compared to the A gap. Quite opposite with where he was used in 2021. So that is very interesting. I wonder where we're going to use him, more in the A gap where he graded out a little bit higher, or more in the B gap. You guys let me know. That's something I just saw here on the fly. I'm sorry, guys. I was trying to look into this just briefly before my meeting with work ended. But yeah, I guess this is a guy that can play either the A or B gap, and we'll see where Coach Prime and the rest of the defensive staff, Bill Belichick, right? One can hope, chooses to use him. But graded out right now is a 57.7. Guys, it's not great. Just like we showed in that full breakdown. Again, this is kind of on the lower end of things, but he is coming off an ACL injury. He probably needs another full off season to get ready. And we got to hope for the best. But I like the fact that we're taking chances on some guys that, hey, were recruited to SEC schools. In the case of Barnes and Wiggins, were recruited very, very highly. And hey, if one of these guys hits to become more than like a rotational player, man, that's big time. So the more guys we kind of bring in, I think our odds are better with having some of these guys play substantial roles for us. So I really like that. Now, lastly, wanted to read through here some of his info just on his college career. And by the way, guys, 24/7 has already rated him, I think, as like an 85 when it comes to his transfer portal rating. So he'll be a 3-star guy coming in here. Throughout his career, Carter's totaled 60 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, and 2.5 sacks. According to Pro Football Focus, in the 2023 season, overall grade of 56. It's changed a little bit. Tackling grade of 72.4. That's great. Pass rush grade 64.3. Yes, he did grade out pretty decently in the pass rush. But I thought I would read this. Again, missed all of 2022 due to his ACL tear. But in 2021, appeared in all 13 games, totaling 24 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 pass breakup, 5 games with multiple tackles. Played 262 snaps, 244 on the defensive line, 18 on special teams. Career high 6 tackles, and half a tackle for a loss in season opener against Rice. Made 1 assisted stop and broke up 1 pass against Texas. Yada, yada, yada. But yeah, a 3-star guy coming out of Mansfield, Texas. And hey, I'm pumped to have him here. This was a guy that, from what I've seen, SMU fans as well were kind of considering as for them on their roster, kind of at a high end rotational piece. I would imagine that our defensive lines coming into this offseason weren't much different. In any case, we might have been a little bit behind SMU because at least they ended up ranked at the end of the year. So if they're seeing him as a rotational piece, I would imagine that that should be the expectation for him coming in here as well. But who knows? Who knows where he goes? I like this. I love this. I'm not going to complain about bringing in a guy with some serious size, with SEC experience that has played significant, meaningful rotational snaps for an SEC program. So that's great. I love it. That's exciting to me, and hopefully he can take the next step here working with guys like Sal Sunseri and Warren Sapp and whoever the DC hire is. So with that being said, I'll take some time to answer your questions and comments. I'll try and scroll through as many as I can, but if you want to ensure that I see some, feel free to send me a little super chat. And hey, let me know your thoughts on where Alabama goes from here. I'm totally really interested in this. David, do you think we're going to get some of them Alabama players now that Saban has retired? I don't know if we need them considering we recruited very well for this upcoming season. Bodie, thank you so much for the consistent support on the channel. Hope you're having a great day. Means a lot to, hey, you would send me another $10 super chat. That really does mean a lot. Thank you so much. Now I'll get to this. I do think that we're going to go after some of these Alabama players. The word that has been reported has been Saban and the program has asked players to wait 72 hours, probably before this next coach is hired, before they decide to jump in the portal or whatnot. And we'll see who's available. But I imagine that CU is going to try and make a pitch to whoever enters that portal. I think slightly a little bit different than you. I think we have recruited very well during this upcoming during this offseason. We recruited very well last year in leveling our talent from where we were at 1-11 in 2022. And I feel like now we're taking that next step. We're still getting more talented every offseason, but we still need to, be recruiting for better and better guys. So we still have ways to go before we have the depth and the overall talent and consistency that a lot of these national title contenders have. And we'll have to see how many of our guys develop and take that jump from next year, or from this past year into next year. Thankfully, we're in a conference right now where there really isn't a dominant team. It's kind of up for grabs. And I think we do have the ability to go in there and contend for the Big 12 title, no doubt. But right now, as things stand, I still feel like we have some ways to go before we can start talking about national championship. And for that, I think we need more Alabama guys. That's all I wanted to say. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm never going to complain about Alabama guys coming over here. So I like that we're taking a shot on Anquin Barnes. Obviously we brought over Demoy Kennedy and Jaquez Robinson this past year. Jaquez didn't really pan out. Best of luck to him. Demoy Kennedy was hurt. We'll see if he can take that next step. But I have no problem continuing to do this because Alabama is clearly the gold standard for college football. And hey, I would rather take a chance on those guys than sometimes bringing in a 17, 18-year-old, average rated 3-star with a high school body. Okay. What's up, Raha Media? Hope you're having a great day. Appreciate you, man. It was great talking with you the other day as well. Big shout out to Tremaine, all the fellas. Appreciate it. Baby girl, hope you're having a wonderful day. Sorry, this is kind of like a different time than normal. Yeah, let's get that Arkansas to Colorado pipeline going. I love it. Pig Suey, baby. Lenny TV, Ed Reed, Alabama. That would be interesting. DMVU, appreciate the love as always. But yeah, I like that we're getting more beef up here. I like it. Do you guys think he will play more in the A gap or B gap? That's very interesting. Very interesting that he had better grades in the A gap in 2021 compared to what he had this past year in the B gap, primarily in 2022. I wonder why that is. Maybe you football guys can speak a little bit in more detail about why that might be. Brady, respect to Lanning for staying put. Yeah, man. He's still Dirty Dan in my mind. He's still Dirty Dan in my mind. But, man, I think it was so funny. We put out that promotional video to announce that he's here again. He's such a hypocrite, man. He plays for clicks just as much as all these other guys. My problem with Dan Lanning is just own it. Own it. Don't speak down about these other programs that do the same thing. These college football coaches that do the same thing. Just don't be a hypocrite. Just own it. Brady B, wait until he's on campus. He's already decommitted from school once this week. Hey, you live by the portal, you die by the portal. At the end of the day, those situations that happen with the transfer portal, I mean, what is it, like 10%, 5% out of the guys that we bring in? We got a guy that's announcing that he's committing here. I'm going to come on here and talk about what this does for the roster. What do I think about Manny Nunnery? I know absolutely nothing about him. So, yeah, who is that? I'm looking this up. Who is Nunnery? Manny Nunnery. Florida Gators. Oh, is this a linebacker that just entered the portal? Let's take a look here really quick. And we need a ton of help at linebacker, especially with DJ Lundy screwing us over. Okay. Share my screen. Okay. Doesn't seem to be much different than what I mean, again, these are just grades. They only show a piece of the pie, you know. But 554 out of 775 linebackers. Played much better in 2022. I wonder why that is. Maybe some SEC fans or Florida guys can speak to that. Box linebacker, okay. Line up at D-line. So, hey, special teams. We need more special teams players. It'd be kind of interesting. Let me see where he graded out compared to the rest of our guys. Florida Gators right here. And again, I know nothing about this guy, so I can't really speak to how he plays. Okay, so, I mean, played better than Bentley, and we lost Marvin Ham, obviously. I wonder what his stats are. Let's go find him. But, man, on the top of my head, man, if you're Alabama now, who do you go after? Sark? Honestly, I don't see Sark leaving Texas, man. I don't. So, where are you going now? Okay. I like this about Manny Nunnery. 6'1", 231. Okay. 22 tackles. All right. Missed tackles. That's a higher rate than we saw with Bentley this year. What's up with that? Oh, so I understand it now why he had some better grades. Again, guys, this is a thing that they're all kind of rated and graded together, but you got to figure out when they're playing against AAC competition or G5 competition compared to the SEC. So it looks like, hey, had a little bit of a tough jump going up to Florida. And I don't think Florida, in terms of an SEC, rating, had like the best defensive line, there at Florida. Granted, I would love to have all those guys over here at Colorado. So maybe that has something to do with it as well. But like I said, if Wester's brother, who I expect to come here, Jalen Wester, linebacker, comes over here, yes, he was the number 130, or he was the number 31 ranked linebacker in all of college football this past year. The only linebacker rated above DJ Lundy in run defense. He was number 1 in the country there. But again, going to be coming up a level if he ends up committing and transferring over here. He's going to be coming up a level. So we got to keep that in mind when it comes to expectations for players coming up to that next level. Okay. But overall, I mean, I kind of have an open mind, why not? Why not? Yeah, there's a Bama linebacker that I was looking at the other day that was more so a part-time player as well that I feel like could be really impactful here. And Jamal, you're totally right. We signed 4 to 5 impact defensive linemen this cycle. I imagine you're including the edges with that. So yes, absolutely agree. We're definitely getting better at a big time position area of need. I mean, the front 7. Now we just got to worry about, we still got to bring in more guys on the defensive line, but we got to officially bring in some linebackers. These trenches got some big bodies. That's right. Brian, wonderful point. Lane Kiffin, he's somebody that I had on my little short list that I talked through yesterday. That would be a home run, in my opinion. I'm a big Lane Kiffin fan. So I don't know if y'all are, but I am. Yeah, Ole Miss number 1 in the transfer portal. But it would. Yeah, is he going to do everybody like that? Now he's going to move to Alabama after signing, giving everybody the bag at Ole Miss. They're way better coaches than Lane Kiffin. Maybe like better X's and O's guys, but I still would consider Lane Kiffin like a top 10 like overall coach in college football. Am I crazy for that? He's a great recruiter. In Prime, we trust. I know, Tremaine, it hurts to say it, but Lanning is a great coach. That's why I had him as that top target for Alabama. And man, I think any school that has Dan Lanning would be very grateful to have him. Chaz Wallace did play well down the stretch. I'll give you that, Tremaine. But he's out of here, right? I think he's out of eligibility. Hey, I'm fine with another corner. Again, I'm not super picky about what positions of guys that we're bringing in. Let's just continue to up the talent level overall at every position. Chairman, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Just show his highlights. Can't find any highlights really right now. I think Sam T on Twitter has one little highlight of him against FAU. I've had a bunch of copyright strikes against me for going on showing the Twitter stuff, even when I've chopped it up. So I'm going to have to dive in and take some time, Chairman A, on going back into looking at his 2021 season. I do have a bunch of all 22 tape from that year that I can go in and cut up some different plays from him on that. I can do that this week. So thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Give me some time to chop that thing up, and I can definitely go through it this week so you guys can just get an idea of who he is. Now, this would be funny. Coach Prime at Alabama, I do wonder, what would happen if, this team did win 8-9 games this past year. I would imagine that school like Alabama would be very interested. But as much as I love Coach Prime, Alabama needs to be going with a more proven, successful head coach. It's my opinion. I love what we're doing here. We improved this year. Some of these losses that we had, I have pinned on coaching. And hey, some assistant coaches, some coordinators for some things, Coach Prime for some game management things. At the end of the day, he's responsible for it all. And he needs to improve, just like our roster and the rest of our coaches need to improve. But we're off to a great start. I don't think that Alabama right now has the patience, and rightfully so. They're a top program. They've won 6 national championships since 2007. Absolutely insane. But they're not in the place where they can give a head coach time to kind of learn a little bit more on the job. But Prime Alabama would be huge, and it would be amazing to talk about. That's for sure. Now, would it make me sad? Yes. I mean, it would make me sad, but you're not going to find me being all mad here. However long this goes, and I hope it goes for a very long time. It's my dream that Coach Prime wants to stay here. But I tweeted this out yesterday. There are about maybe 4 to 5 schools that never have to worry about their coach being poached ever, because they're, one of those programs. Alabama's one of those programs, right? CU is not one of those programs. And so no matter what these coaches say for the majority of these college football programs about how they love it here, they want to retire here, they want to do this and that, they want to accomplish these things, there's always scenarios in which they'll take another opportunity. That's just how it is. So, and that's not personal. It's just business. Unless we have somebody, for instance, that went to the school here, that is a lifelong Colorado guy. I mean, we tried to play that. I don't think Darrell was a player here, was a coach here in the 90s, but, has a home out here in Lafayette, all that. But he was like, hey, I'm a lifelong Buff. This is my dream job. I'm not going to be leaving after 1 year like Midnight Mel was after he signed the recruiting class, all of that. That's great. When you're able to find a guy like that, that's fine. But I think it's very rare sometimes for these smaller schools to have these lifelong coaches there, unless, that was the school that they went to, such as like Mike Gundy, I guess. But yeah, there's definitely scenarios like if Mike Norvell, I still believe this. If Mike Norvell leaves for Alabama, I do think Coach Prime would be one of those guys that they look at, even with all the BS, even with all the fans and the toxicity. You can bury that all under the bridge, or whatever the expression is, right? Hey, now we're talking business. Now there's a new opportunity. And, all that to say, I could see that happening, but at the end of the day, when you're a college football fan, don't get too caught up on what's happening 2-3 years down the line. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy what we're doing right now. And however long this lasts, you're going to find me to be very, very thankful, because we were Mountain West bound. Yeah, and I think you're right. That fan base would be pretty upset not bringing in a top-tier college coach. Yeah, Ole Miss is hot right now, K Vizzy. No doubt about it. Mike, good to see you, man. Big days for signed commits across the country, getting on campus. First workouts with the team coming. Yes, absolutely. Classes for CU start this next week, I believe. I would imagine it's the same case for the majority of the country, including Nebraska. Mike, let me know in the comments if there's any smoke with any new players Nebraska's bringing in. But hey, can't wait for this September, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'll say this about Dan Lanning. They whooped our butt. You know, they were running fake punts and trick plays and different things like that. That's like they're going for it on fourth down, you know, up by 2 scores. That's how they are. Dan Lanning is full gas every game. That's how he plays every game. Now, sometimes it comes back to bite him in the butt, like it has done against him for pretty much every game he's had against Washington. But hey, I would much prefer to always have your guys playing extremely aggressive, no matter who the opponent is, than not. I love how his teams play. It's the style I like. Brady, Des Moines Kennedy breakout would be huge for this defense now that he's healthy. Hopefully Gant gets the waiver to play as well. Yeah, and I guess that's really just the case with those guys. Can they be healthy? David, might be a real long shot, but what do you think Colorado's chances are to get 5-star plus wide receiver Ryan Williams, recent decommit yesterday from Alabama? I'll give some percentage. I mean, the fact that we were in it with Michigan and LSU and Alabama for Bryce Underwood speaks to, you know, the fact that we're going to be in there for a lot of these big recruits. The fact that we can be mentioned, the fact that we're in a top 4 like that with these guys is substantial. So, I mean, I don't think we had much contact with him or like ever hosted him for a visit. But I mean, bottom line, man, you can always give us a puncher's chance on all these guys. I mean, we saw what happened with Jordan Seaton, right? So at least 10%, right? We have 0% chance. Kevin, I don't know what you mean. But you can find my boy Martez from Yo Martez, my good friend. All of his stuff in the description, yomartez.com. ScoBuffs promo code for 10% off your entire cart. Veins of African Blood. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. That's very generous of you. Hope you're having a great day. What do you think about Chip Kelly to Alabama? He can do more with Bama talent, and the fans always wanted a more exciting offense there. I can see it. I feel like Chip Kelly's still at UCLA, right? I guess he kind of saved his job with that USC victory and blowout. Now, if they offer him that and I'm Chip Kelly, I'm immediately leaving UCLA. I mean, no doubt. This could be interesting. I do wonder, though, how much, you know, if there's a little bit of concern with him and recruiting. I think that if I'm putting together a short list, there are a handful of other guys that I would want to offer the job first. But I don't think Chip Kelly's a terrible option. I guess the only other thing I'm wondering is, does he have Deep South or SEC ties or experience in his career? I'm not totally familiar with him before Oregon. So I can't really speak to that, but I do know from Oregon, went out to Philly, then was in San Francisco, and, you know, now has been in LA at UCLA, more of a West Coast guy. But if he doesn't have that type of SEC ties, it's hard for me to see him going there. Even as far as Florida State, that's a more reasonable pickup, but I really do think he wants to turn CU into a prime school. Yes, and this is one of the advantages, Stevie, that I think really does set CU apart is that we've given him the keys and we allow him to do what he wants, how he wants to do it. And a lot of these other blue blood schools, I don't know if they'd be willing to do that. Ego gets in the way, those boards of trustees. But I think if I'm Mike Norvell, I would be very interested in the Alabama job. Florida State's kind of stuck right now in the ACC. Who knows what happens with that? You don't have to worry about any of that going to Alabama. They're already set. Now, if Texas was still in the Big 12, would you see, I think, Sark make a big-time run at that job? Yes, but now Texas is in the SEC with just as much money, and you're living in Austin, Texas, as opposed to Tuscaloosa. I don't know. I don't see Sark being as realistic, but everybody that's covering SEC football seems to think that it is. So, I mean, what do I know? I'm a dude talking about this from my bedroom right outside of Denver, Colorado. Same. Yes. See, we're on the same page. We can speculate about it. Bishop, hope you're doing well. It was good to see you in some of the chats yesterday. Going through some more super chats here. What's up, y'all? What is it? You know your shit, Dave. Stop capping. What am I capping about? Hey, Chubby and I are going to hop on later this afternoon, just so you know that. And as a reminder, we'll have another show this evening. Nicholas Braxton, if you're watching, I'm sure you'll be really pumped about this, but we'll have NFL draft scout Bill Carroll on the show. It's been a few months since I've had him on, and we'll talk everything: NFL draft, quarterback prospects, the CU hopefuls that are hoping to go pro, and all of that. So be sure to hit that bell notification so you can hop on both of those shows today. Let's see here. I want Rez Ricks or Denver Harris in Colorado. Yeah, what's up with Denver Harris entering the portal again? Why not, man? I mean, why not, man? I'm not too picky. Maya coming in here. Has anyone suggested Belichick for DC yet? Isn't that what happens when a coach becomes available? Hey, absolutely. And hey, Bill Belichick, you want to come out here for even just a year, Pete Carroll, I'm happy with it, right? But I would imagine that those guys will probably just enjoy their retirement for a little bit. So, but I mean, you at least got to make a call if you're CU, right? Even though it's probably totally unrealistic. But Mike Vrabel, I would imagine he's going to be the favorite to go to New England, more so than Josh McDaniels. Bodie, thank you again for this $5 super chat. Now that you think Saban's gone, do you think Colorado becomes the hot school to be at for recruits? Well, I think regardless, Alabama is going to be a top school to go to. So really that's in our control, regardless of who else is coaching these other programs. The biggest thing that's going to help Colorado isn't certain coaches leaving certain schools or switching schools. It's going to be us winning, and we need to do more winning. The fact that we're continuing to improve after a 3-game improvement from this past season from 2022, if we can get up, at minimum have a winning record, and then everything on top of that is just big time gravy. I mean, you're if you're in a Big 12 title game, winning the conference or getting 9-10 wins, or you got some guys that are in Heisman consideration or a Heisman finalist because you've won games, that's only going to do more and more and more for this program when it comes to recruiting. But as funny as it is, Dan Lanning coming out there saying, we don't play for clicks. Yes, y'all do, but we're about substance. It's like a both and thing. It's like, yes, those guys are coming there for the bag, for the exposure, the Nike money, all of that. But a lot of those guys aren't even considering Oregon if they're not a winning program, even with those things. So it's really important that CU continues to put more wins on the board year after year after year. You'll continue to see us get better and better, like quality recruits and transfers, commits, all of that, just like we've seen this year compared to last year. ESPN Black, great to see you. John, great to see you as well. Eight game minimum. I love that. But yeah. But this is a really interesting point. Cam Duncan saying CU now has the best connections with the NFL with Saban being gone. Yeah, maybe. It could very well be the case. I'm trying to think of other staffs in college football right now that have NFL guys or guys that spent substantial time in the NFL on their staff. And my memory isn't great anyways, so y'all let me know if that's different. TB. Is TB in the house? Did I miss you, TB? Y'all go subscribe to TB. All right, y'all. I'm going to wrap this up. I got more work to do. Really appreciate everybody that came in to enjoy this and chop it up with me. This is always a lot of fun. Another shout out again to Bodie, to Veins of Africa, Chairman A. I will put out a cut up this week of Taurean Carter with some of that all 22 tape from his 2021 season. We'll see what we can find and how he looks, because with these interior defensive linemen, man, stats don't tell the story, the full story or anything like that. It's not a position where guys put up crazy amounts of numbers. It's more of an eye test thing. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm going to get out of here. Hit that bell notification, and I will see you guys again soon. Yeah, y'all go subscribe to How It Has to Be. Let's go, Buffs.